In the cold silence of deep space, the salvage ship Relin V floated like a shadow. Its crew of 5 worked quietly, scanning old debris fields and forgotten wrecks, hoping to find something valuable. Most days were boring. The same old broken ships, the same silent metal ghosts. But today felt different. Tarlis, the youngest crew member, was staring at the screen when a strange signal blinked onto the radar. It was faint, almost too weak to notice, but it wasn't random. It had a rhythm like a heartbeat. Captain Vern leaned over Tarlis's shoulder and narrowed his eyes. "That's not just noise," he said. The signal came from a sector marked as empty. Nothing was supposed to be there. No trade routes, no colonies, not even pirate activity. Just dead space. But the signal kept pulsing. It was old, cracked with static, but steady. Curious, the captain changed course. The ship turned slowly and headed into the dark. It took 2 hours to reach the source. What they saw made everyone fall silent. A massive wreck floated ahead. It was larger than any known cargo ship. Black. And silver, the hull was smooth but covered in strange burn marks. No lights, no power, no name or ID tag. It was completely unknown. The crew stared in disbelief. "I've never seen this kind of design," said First Engineer Mara. "Not Varnan, not Kalari, not even ancient Tevin." They circled the wreck, scanning every surface. The metal didn't match anything in their database. It was harder than titanium, older than any living species. A docking port finally came into view. It was open, but just slightly. Like someone tried to close it, but failed. The crew decided to enter. They suited up and floated over in a small boarding craft. Inside, the air was dead and cold. Dust floated like snowflakes in zero gravity. Strange markings lined the walls, symbols that made no sense. Everything inside looked strong, but battle-damaged. Whole sections were burned out, and yet something was off. Tarlis felt it first. A low hum in the walls, too low to be heard. Thoughtley felt like the ship was breathing. As they moved deeper inside, the hum grew louder. No life signs showed on their scanners, but the signal was definitely coming from somewhere inside. It pulsed slowly, like it was calling them. They followed it, passing empty halls and sealed doors. One door was different. It was made of a darker metal, thicker than the others, and covered in strange patterns. "This is it," said Captain Viren. "The source is behind here." They set up a charge to melt the lock. When the door finally slid open, thick cold air rushed out. Inside was a small room. At the center, a large pod stood upright, frosted over from the inside. The glass was cracked but not broken. Inside the pod was a human. The crew froze. Humans were only known from legends, stories told by old space travelers. They were said to be from a Class 15 Deathworld, a place so dangerous that even the plants could kill. No one had ever seen one. Most believed they were extinct. But here one was real, sleeping in front of them. Taroas stepped forward, staring at the figure. It was tall, muscular, with short hair and a scar across one eye. It wore a black suit with a faded patch. The letters were hard to read, but one word was clear: Earth. Suddenly, the signal spiked. Lights inside the room flickered. The pod beeped. Systems were waking up. "Back away," shouted Mara, pulling Tarlis back. But it was too late. With a hiss, the pod released steam. The glass slid open slowly. The human's chest moved. Then its eyes opened bright, sharp, and angry. The crew didn't move. The human stepped out, unsteady at first, then strong. He looked at them, eyes scanning quickly. Then he spoke in a language they couldn't understand. The translator chip tried to keep up. "Who are you?" It finally translated. Captain Viren raised both hands. "We mean no harm. You were in cryosleep. We found your ship." The human didn't lower his guard. His eyes moved to the walls, the blinking lights. Then he looked out the open door and saw stars, thousands of them. Far from any familiar place, a deep silence passed. Then he whispered, voice low and heavy, "How long was I asleep?" No one had the answer. Their scans showed the ship was over 1,000 years old, maybe more. Before they could respond, the ship suddenly made a sound, a deep mechanical growl, like something alive had just woken up. Lights flickered on in the hallway. Doors unlocked one by one behind them. The hum in the walls turned into a pulse. The ship was waking. Talas looked at the others, fear in his eyes. The ship, it wasn't dead. It was sleeping. The human turned, walking back into the hall like he knew the place. The lights followed him. He moved with purpose, like a soldier returning to the battlefield. He stopped, looked back, and said one thing that made the crew's blood run cold. "Where is the enemy?" No one answered. But deep in the ship's belly, something huge moved. The wreck wasn't just a dead relic. It was a weapon, and it had just opened its eyes. The crew of Relin V stood frozen as the human walked ahead through the dark corridor. His footsteps echoed in the silence. The ship's lights flickered back to life, one by one, as if they recognized him. Tarlis watched with wide eyes.
Ow.
A strange man had just come out of 1,000-year sleep, yet he moved with power and control. It was like the ship belonged to him. Maybe it did. Captain Varen gave a silent signal to follow. They moved carefully, stepping through the dust-filled halls behind the human. None of them knew his name, where he came from, or what he wanted. But one thing was clear: the ship had responded to him. It had ignored them, but now it was alive again. The man reached a large circular door deep inside the ship. It had no visible handle, no keypad, just a smooth black surface. The crew's. Scanners had shown strange energy behind it, but they couldn't open it earlier. The human pressed his hand to the surface. The metal glowed faintly, scanning him. A soft click sounded, and the door slowly opened. The crew looked at each other in shock. Inside was a chamber filled with technology none of them understood. Giant machines hummed quietly. Screens blinked with strange symbols. In the middle was a raised platform, with a second pod larger than the first one. But this pod was empty. Along the walls were weapons. Long metal rifles, heavy armor suits, in strange gear that looked far more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. Tarlis walked slowly around the room, stopped in front of a cracked screen and wiped away the dust. It showed an old symbol, a blue and green planet spinning slowly. Under it were the words, Earth Class 15 Deathworld. Mara whispered, this wasn't just a ship, this was a war vessel. The human turned around and finally spoke in broken galactic language. The translator chip helped them understand. This is the Nightmare Class, Earth Fleet design, 1 of 6. Built to fight the Zarn Empire, I was commander. Ship name, Havoc Reign. Captain Varen stepped closer. What is the Zarn Empire? We don't know that name. The man frowned. Impossible. They covered half the galaxy. Their armies burned planets. Earth fought them for survival. Mara checked her files. No records of the Zarn. No war like that. Nothing. The human stared at her, his voice turning cold. Then the war is not over. If they are not in records, they won. Tarlis asked, what happened to your crew? The human looked at the empty pod in silence. We were attacked during a mission. We tried to escape. They hit the engines. I ordered cryosleep to wait for rescue. I woke up alone. Captain Varen tried to keep calm. We're just salvagers. We're not part of any war. We didn't mean to disturb you. We didn't know you were here. The human nodded slowly. You are not soldiers. I can see that, but you are lucky. If you had entered the wrong room, the ship would have killed you. Mara's voice shook. It still might. At that moment, the floor trembled. A deep rumble echoed through the ship. One of the large machines on the wall lit up red. The screen blinked. Words appeared translated by the chip. Power surge detected. Core awakening in progress. Defense protocol. Standby. Captain Varen stepped back. What does that mean? The human turned toward the screen, which means the ship is waking completely. The core AI is about to come online. Is that safe? Mara asked. No, he replied. Not for intruders. Suddenly, the lights turned red. A loud mechanical voice filled the chamber, speaking in an ancient Terran language. The human responded in the same tongue. After a pause, the ship answered with a beep hand. The lights turned yellow. "What did you say to it?" Rin asked quickly. "I told it I'm alive," the human said. "I gave it my command code. It recognized me. I'm still listed as captain." Everyone exhaled in relief. The human walked to one of the walls and took a long weapon from a storage rack. It looked dangerous. It locked into place on his back. Then he looked at the crew. "My name is Captain Riker, Earth Fleet. We don't have much time." The ship woke up. Then the beacon went out. "What beacon?" Tarlis asked. Riker's face grew serious. "The emergency signal. It was meant to call Earth ships. Or warn them. If it's been going for this long, others might hear it. Not just allies. Enemies, too." Captain Varen looked uneasy. "We should leave. This is not our fight." Riker shook his head. "It is now. You opened the door. You woke me. If someone hostile hears the beacon, they'll come. And this ship, still a threat. If they take it, entire planets will burn." Tarlis stepped forward. "Can we stop the beacon?" Riker paused, then nodded. "Yes, but only from the command bridge. It's deep in the ship, past the AI core. It won't let just anyone in. You'll need me." Mira looked around. "And what do we do until then?" Riker stared into the shadows. "Prepare for war." Far in the void of space, another ship turned toward the signal. It wasn't friendly. It was coming fast. Captain Riker walked through the dark halls of the ship like he had never left. His boots echoed on the metal floor. The crew of Relin V followed close behind, nervous and quiet. Tarlis kept looking around, expecting something to jump out of the shadows. The ship didn't feel like a wreck anymore. It felt like it was watching them. Every few steps, strange machines along the walls lit up. Blue lights blinked, and screens glowed softly. Some doors opened as Riker passed them. The ship knew its captain had returned. It moved with him like it was alive. They were headed to the command bridge. That was where the beacon could be turned off. But Riker warned them. It would not be easy. The AI core, still waking up, would protect the bridge from anyone it did not trust. And it didn't trust outsiders. Captain Varen walked beside Riker. "What exactly is this ship's purpose?" he asked. Riker answered without stopping. "This ship was built for war. It was made to hunt and destroy. It had stealth systems, planet-killer weapons, and AI-controlled defense units. The crew was small, but deadly. Only the best. We were ghosts in space. We fought when all hope was lost." Mara looked up. "But why would humans build something like this?" Riker stopped and looked back, because our planet was a nightmare. Earth was classified as a Class 15 Deathworld. Nothing survived there by being weak. Everything wanted to kill you, whether animals, plants, even the ground. We didn't evolve to be peaceful. We evolved to win. Tarlis felt a chill run down his spine. The stories were true. Humans were not like the others. They were not explorers. They were survivors. Fighters suddenly a loud noise echoed through the hall. Metal crashed. Lights flickered. "Something's moving in the ship," Mara whispered. Riker raised his weapon and signaled them to stop. He moved ahead alone, scanning the hallway with quick, trained eyes. A few seconds later, he stepped back and waved them forward. "It's one of the ship's defense drones," he said. "It didn't attack. It's confused." Still waking up, they passed the drone. It was a large floating machine with sharp arms and glowing red eyes. It turned to look at them, but didn't move. Riker said something in his old language. The drone beeped and powered down. "He just told a killing machine to sleep," Tarlis whispered. And it listened. They finally reached the command bridge. It was locked behind a thick, round door. Riker placed his hand on the scanner. Glowed blue, then red. Access denied. Captain status incomplete. Riker's face tightened. "The AI isn't fully convinced I'm alive. It needs more proof." "What kind of proof?" Varen asked. Riker looked at the ceiling. "It wants a full bioscan from the core. Need to walk into the heart of the ship." "That sounds dangerous," Mara said quickly. Riker nodded. "It is. If it doesn't accept me, it might kill me." Tarlis stepped forward. "Then let us go with you." "No. Riker said firmly. Only I can enter the core chamber. Anyone else will be seen as a threat. He looked at each of them. Stay here. If I fail, get out. Warn your people. Destroy this ship if you have to. Without waiting for a reply, Riker turned and walked toward the lower levels. The rest of the crew stood in silence, watching him disappear down the hall. Inside the core chamber, the walls were round and glowing. Giant cables hung from the ceiling. The main processor was pulsing like a heartbeat. As Riker entered, the doors slammed shut behind him. Lights turned red. A voice echoed from every corner. Identity unclear. Threat level unknown. Testing biological signature. Riker stood tall. I am Captain Riker, Earth Fleet. Code, Havoc Reign Alpha 9. There was silence. Then electricity surged around him. Pain shot through his body, but he didn't scream. He stayed standing. Strength test complete. Pain tolerance confirmed. Memory scan in progress. Flashes appeared on the walls. Images of war, of fire, of humans fighting in space. Riker's past was playing like a film. The AI watched everything. Then, slowly, the red lights turned green. Captain status confirmed. Welcome back. The doors opened again. Riker walked out, sweat on his face but still strong. When he returned to the bridge, the crew looked at him with new eyes. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a survivor from a time of fire and blood. He walked to the command panel. The system now listened to him. He typed a command and the beacon signal dropped, but just as the silence returned, the ship shook. A warning flashed on the screen. Incoming vessel detected. Unknown origin. Speed. High. Weapons active. Riker stared at it. They heard the signal, and they're already here. Outside, in the darkness of space, a ship moved like a blade. It had no name, no ID. It came from the edge of the galaxy, drawn to the call of an ancient weapon. The Havoc Reign had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The warning lights on the command. Bridge turned red again. The Relin V crew stared at the screen in fear. A ship was coming fast and marked, silent but clearly dangerous. Captain Riker's face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He had seen this kind of enemy before. Tarlis asked, "Do you know who they are?" Riker stepped closer to the display. Not by name, but I know the pattern. That ship isn't coming to talk. It's coming to take this vessel or destroy it. Captain Varen looked at him. Can we fight them off? Riker nodded once. If we wake the full systems of the Havoc Reign, yes. But this ship hasn't been used in over 1,000 years. I need time. How much time? Mara asked. 10 minutes, maybe less. I can bring the main weapons online, but the systems will need to relearn the battlefield. The enemy ship came into view on the outer screen. Oh. It was small but deadly, shaped like a long blade, with sharp angles and black metal skin. Its energy levels were rising, shields on, weapons hot. They're charging weapons, said Tarlis, his voice shaking. Riker turned and walked quickly to the control panel. His fingers flew across the keys. Alarms shut off. Screens lit up. A low hum filled the bridge as the ship came alive once more. Outside, giant cannons along the side of the Havoc Reign began to glow. The armor plating reformed. Defense drones along the hull powered up. The wreck wasn't a wreck anymore. It was becoming a warship again. Suddenly, the enemy ship opened fire. Bright red beams hit the side of the Havoc Reign. The ship shook, but the hull held strong. Riker didn't flinch. Shields are coming back online. Hold position, he ordered. The crew of Relin V could hardly believe what they were seeing. They had come to salvage a dead ship. Now they were standing inside a sleeping giant, watching it prepare for battle. Mara whispered, "How did humans survive like this?" Riker replied, not turning from his work, because we were forged in fire. Our world killed the weak. Only the strongest lived. We made our ships the same way. As the enemy fired again, Riker slammed his hand on a glowing panel. A loud sound echoed through the ship. Massive turrets turned and locked onto the enemy. "Target locked," said Riker. "Return fire." A blast of blue energy shot out from the Havoc Reign. It hit the enemy ship's shield. The The shield rippled but didn't break. Riker adjusted the aim and fired again, twice this time. The second hit struck the engine. The enemy ship spun out of control, smoke trailing behind it. Tarlis stared. "You hit it without guidance systems." "I don't need them," Riker said. "I've done this before." The enemy ship tried to escape, but it was too late. One final blast from the Havoc rain tore it apart. Flames and debris floated into the black dot. Silence returned. But no one relaxed. Captain Varen turned to Riker. "How many more will come?" Riker looked at the star map. "If that was a scout ship, many more." Tarlis stepped forward. "Captain Riker, why were you fighting this war? What happened to Earth?" Riker sat down slowly in the command chair. He looked tired for the first time. "Earth was strong but alone. The galaxy feared us. Some hated us. Others wanted to use our strength. When the Zarn Empire rose, we didn't run. We fought back. We built ships like this, lost many, but we never gave up." "What happened to the Zarn?" Mara asked. "I don't know," Riker said. "If they're gone, someone else has taken their place. And now this ship has been found." Captain Varen looked at his crew. "So what do we do?" Riker stood again. "We prepare. This ship is awake. It needs a crew. Fighters, engineers. People who won't run," Tarlis said quietly. "We're not soldiers." Riker looked at him. "You don't have to be. The ship will protect you. But if you stay, you must be ready, 'cause more will come. And next time, they won't be alone." The lights on the bridge turned white. Systems now showed full control. The ship was fully online. From deep inside the walls, the AI voice returned, this time clear and calm. "Captain Riker, command confirmed. Havoc Rain is operational. Standing by for next engagement?" Riker smiled for the first time. "Now, we send a message." Captain Varen asked, "To who?" Riker looked out at the stars. "To Earth, if it still lives. If not, then to anyone who remembers us." Mara asked, "What will the message say?" Riker spoke firmly. "It will say this: the Deathworld still breathes. The Terran fleet is not dead. We are coming back." Far across the stars, in places where no light reached, ancient machines listened, and something woke up. The storm had just begun. The Havoc Rain moved slowly through deep space, its systems now fully alive. On the outside, it still looked like a ghost ship, silent, dark, floating. But inside, the giant engines hummed with quiet power. The walls no longer echoed like a tomb. They breathed like a sleeping beast. Captain Riker stood at the heart of the ship. In the chamber, called the core spine, it was a long vertical room filled with blue light and thick metal cables. In the center stood a tall pillar, glowing. With slow pulses, this was the weapon's heart, the source of the Havoc Rain's strength. Tarlis followed behind Riker, along with Mara and Captain Varen. They had agreed to stay. The battle with the enemy scout ship had changed them. They knew this ship was dangerous, but it also gave them a strange feeling: safety, power, and purpose. For the first time in their lives, they didn't feel like nobodies in a cold galaxy. They felt like part of something bigger. Riker placed his hand on a black screen. It scanned him, then turned green. A panel slid open to reveal another screen, showing weapon systems, shield networks, drone units, and something called Project Titan Mode Locked. Mara frowned. "What's that?" "Titan Mode." Riker looked at her. "The final defense system. It turns the ship into a full war platform capable of planetary siege." Captain Varen stepped forward. "You mean it can destroy planets?" Riker nodded slowly. "Yes. If activated, it drops all limits. But I locked it long ago. Only the full Terran Council could approve it. And I don't even know if they exist anymore." Tarlis looked uneasy. "Why build something like that?" Riker didn't smile. "Because our enemies did, and Earth refused to lose." Just then, alarms flashed on the core screen. New signal detected. Ships, 5. Speed, fast. Weapons, armed. Mara's eyes widened. More are coming. Riker turned back to the screen. Show them. Projection appeared above the weapon's heart. 5 ships were flying in tight formation. Unlike the first scout, these were larger, heavier, and better armed. Their energy signals were marked unknown species. They didn't respond to the message, said Varen. They're not here to talk, Riker replied. A second warning flashed. They're scanning the Havoc Rain. Preparing boarding teams? Tarlis asked, should we run? Riker shook his head. This ship doesn't run, but we can't win this with guns alone. I need to activate the internal defense grid. He walked to a hidden panel on the wall and typed in a code. A female AI voice spoke softly through the chamber. Defense grid online. Activate defense. Drones, Riker answered. Yes. Full engagement protocol. Protect all registered life forms. Outside, hidden weapon ports opened along the Havoc Rain's hull. Long mechanical arms unfolded, and small attack drones flew out like insects with glowing red eyes. Inside, metal doors slid open as silver humanoid robots came to life, silent, strong, and fast. They'll never reach the bridge, Riker said calmly. The enemy ships sent shuttles toward the Havoc Rain. 4 of them landed along the ship's sides and cut their way in. But the moment they entered, they were met by the defense drones. Screams and static filled the comms. Within 2 minutes, all invaders were gone. Clear, the AI confirmed. Ship integrity 100%. Tarlis whispered, this ship, it's a monster. Riker didn't argue. That's what they used to call us. Monsters from the Deathworld? Mara asked. And were you? Riker looked her in the eyes. Only to those who started wars? The enemy ships pulled back, now fully aware of the danger, but one stayed behind longer and tried to hack into the Havoc Rain's systems. For a brief moment, a symbol flashed on the screen, an eye with 3 claws over it. Riker froze. What is it? Erin asked. Dad. Symbol. It's not Zarn, but I've seen it before.
Eyes.
On a lost file in Earth's warning archives. The ones about threats even the Council feared. The screen flickered. A message appeared. We see you, Deathworlder. The galaxy remembers. Then, the enemy ships vanished into jump space. Everyone stood silent. The message wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. Tarlis said they're going to tell others. Riker nodded. Yes, the word is out now. The Havoc Rain is active, and the galaxy still fears Earth. Mara touched the cold wall of the ship. Then what do we do? Riker answered without pause. We prepare for war, not because we want it, but because it's already coming. Captain Varen looked at the others. Do we have a choice? Riker stared into the core. No, but we have something they don't. This ship, each other, and a history of never backing down. The lights in the weapon's heart glowed brighter. Havoc Rain had shown only a glimpse of its power, and the galaxy had noticed. There would be no turning back. 3 days passed. The Havoc Rain stayed in deep space, hidden inside a dust cloud near a dead star. The crew of the Relin V remained on board, now fully part of the ship. They trained with Riker, learned the basic systems, and studied the weapons. Every corner of the ship was filled with ancient Terran technology, powerful and waiting. Riker spent most of his time in the command bridge, checking for signals and scanning the stars. He didn't sleep much.
Odd.
His body was strong, but his mind was always alert. He knew the quiet would not last. And he was right. The alarm rang during the night cycle. Mara, Tarlis, and Captain Varen rushed to the bridge. Riker was already there, standing in front of the glowing screen. Unidentified fleet approaching, he said. 12 ships, large military class. The map showed a group of ships flying fast toward their position. They were not like the others. These were heavier, stronger, built for invasion. The Havoc Rain could fight, but the enemy had numbers, Varen asked. Who are they? Riker zoomed in on the ships. Each one had the same mark, the eye with 3 claws. They're back, Riker said, and this time they brought a fleet. Mara looked worried. Do we run? Riker shook his head. No. They didn't come just to fight. They came to take this ship. They want the Havoc Rain as a trophy. Or worse, to use it. The main screen flashed again. Incoming message, language decoded. Day voice echoed through the bridge. Deep cold. Terran. Vesa. You are now under the control of the Dravari Empire. Power down and surrender. The crew will be spared. Tarlis scoffed. That sounds like a lie. Riker answered calmly. It is. If we surrender, they'll rip this ship apart. And us with it. He tapped a few buttons. This is Captain Riker of the Havoc Rain. This ship does not surrender. Ever. No reply came. The enemy fleet stopped just outside weapon range. Then, small shuttles broke away from the main ship's boarding parties. But this time, Riker didn't wait. He turned to Mara. Activate the outer defenses. All auto turrets online. She nodded and moved to the panel. The outer hull lit up. Dozens of hidden weapons turned and locked onto the incoming shuttles. Riker raised a hand. Wait. Shuttles came closer now. Flashes of light tore across space. Each shuttle was hit by precise laser fire. In seconds, all were destroyed. The enemy ships responded, launching missiles toward the Havoc Rain. Tarlis shouted, incoming fire. Shield level, Riker asked. 80%, Hera replied. The Havoc Rain shook as the missiles hit, but the shields held. Smoke filled the corners of the bridge, but no one panicked. This was a Deathworld ship. It was built to take punishment. Riker's. Fingers flew across the controls. Fire main cannon, he said. A low hum shook the ship's center, and a beam of pure energy blasted forward. One enemy cruiser was hit directly gone in a flash. The enemy fleet broke formation. Some pulled back. Others charged in closer. They're trying to flank us, Varen said. They won't make it. Riker replied. Inside the ship, the AI activated internal defense bots. From the walls, mechanical soldiers dropped into position, guarding every hallway, every entrance. If the enemy boarded, they would be met with fire and steel. The battle raged on. 3 enemy ships were destroyed. 2 more were badly damaged. But the Havoc Rain was not untouched. The shields dropped to 50%. Power flickered. Systems groaned under pressure. Mara shouted, Riker. The main cannon is overheating. Switch to secondary weapons. Pull power from the drone bay, Riker ordered. As the weapons shifted, a new alarm sounded. Unknown object detected approaching fast. What now? Tarlis said. On the screen, a long black ship appeared. It was different, sleek, silent, more advanced than the others. Riker stared. That's not one of theirs. That's something else. The new ship did not attack the enemy fleet. It didn't send a signal. It simply hovered. Then, slowly, the enemy ships began to pull away. One by one, they jumped into hyperspace, retreating. Terrell blinked. They're running. Riker narrowed his eyes. No, they were warned, Mara asked. By who? Riker didn't answer right away. The black ship drifted closer, but still stayed outside firing range. Then it sent a message. Terran warship, you've awakened. We are watching. Your return changes everything. Message ended. The black ship turned, danned, vanished. Silence filled the bridge. Captain Varen said softly. What was that? Riker stepped back from the screen. Something older than the Dravari. Something that remembers the first wars. Now they know. We're alive, Tarlis whispered. This ship isn't just a weapon. It's a signal. Riker nodded. Yes, and now the galaxy is listening. The Havoc Rain had defended itself again, but its greatest enemy hadn't arrived yet. That enemy was still coming. The battle was over. The enemy fleet had vanished into the stars, and the silent black ship was gone too. But the crew of the Havoc Rain did not feel safe. The air inside the ship was still tense, like the calm before a storm. Captain Riker stood in the center of the bridge, watching the empty space where the black ship had disappeared. His face was hard. His mind was racing. Tarlis spoke first. They didn't come to fight. They came to see. Riker nodded slowly. Yes, that black ship was not part of the Dravari fleet. It came alone, just to watch, to confirm the truth. Mara frowned. What truth? Riker turned to her. That Earth's greatest warship is awake again, and that humans are not extinct. Captain Varin leaned forward on the console. If they feared us before, they'll fear us even more now. No, Riker said. This time they won't fear, they'll prepare. To destroy what they missed long ago. The bridge was quiet. Outside, space looked calm, but everyone felt the weight of what had happened. The galaxy had noticed. It wouldn't look away again. Tarlos asked, So, what do we do now? Riker turned and faced them all. Now we send a message. Not just a distress call, not a warning. Signal to Earth, to any surviving human. Ships, to any allies still hiding in the shadows. We let them know that one of us is still here, still ready, still fighting. Mara hesitated. Do you think Earth still exists? Riker's voice was quiet but firm. I don't know. It's been over 1,000 years. Maybe Earth is gone. Maybe it's a grave. But humans, we never die easy. Somewhere out there, someone like me might still be alive, still waiting. We owe it to them. He walked to the center panel and began typing. The AI voice came online, awaiting message input. Transmission range, galaxy-wide. Riker looked around the bridge one last time, then spoke. This is Captain Riker of the Havoc Rain Terran Fleet. If you hear this, know that Earth was never forgotten. We are still out here. We survived. We endure. To all Terran ships, to all allies, wake up. This galaxy fears what it cannot control. Let them remember why they feared us. We are Deathworlders, and we are not done. He pressed a single button. Message. Sent. A glowing light pulsed from the ship's antenna. The signal shot across space like a burning star. It carried Riker's voice far beyond the local systems across sectors. Across voids, into deep places where light hadn't touched in ages. Somewhere, on an abandoned moon, an old machine turned back on, in a ruined station, far from known space. A small Terran beacon blinked after centuries of silence, and in a hidden asteroid field, a ship that looked just like the Havoc Rain powered up. Someone inside opened their eyes. Back on the bridge, the crew watched the star map. Blips began to appear, small at first, weak, but then more. Mara gasped. They're responding. Baron pointed.
I'd heard signatures.
Faint. Some are moving. Tarlos smiled. We're not alone. Riker stood quietly, watching the map fill with signals. No, we never were. We're just sleeping. Then another warning flashed. New signal. Unknown origin. Massive size. The map zoomed out, and a dark red shape appeared larger than any ship they had seen before. It wasn't moving fast. It didn't need to. Signal was strong, filled with hatred. Mara whispered, Is that another enemy? Riker looked closely. It's something worse. It's a response. Baron asked. From who? Riker stared at the screen. From whatever ruled after we were gone. It's the ones who took the silence as victory. The ones who now realize their mistake. The red shape began to pulse, slowly like a heartbeat. Like something alive. Darrell has stepped back. What now? Riker smiled just a little. Now we remind the stars who we are. The Havoc Rain turned toward the signal. Its engines roared quietly. Its cannons pulsed with energy. The ship was no longer a wreck. It was a legend reborn. And somewhere far away, someone whispered in fear, The Deathworlders are back. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The galaxy listened. From the edge of the Orion sector to the forgotten ruins of the Calorie Belt, the message from the Havoc Rain spread like fire. Riker's voice echoed through ancient relays and silent outposts. It was a voice from the past, a warning, a call. And a promise. In hidden corners of space, old Terran ships flickered back to life. Some were just wrecks, barely able to fly. Others were sleeping giants like the Havoc Rain. Pilots in deep cryo began to wake. AI systems recognized the signal and began reactivating. The Terran fleet was broken, scattered, but not gone. On the Havoc Rain, Captain Riker stood on the bridge, watching the galaxy map. New green lights appeared every hour. Each one meant someone had heard him. Each one meant hope. Turles stared in awe. "There are more of you." Riker nodded. "Didn't know if anyone survived. Now we know." Mara zoomed in on one of the blinking lights. "This one is moving fast. Heading toward us," Varen added. "It's using old Terran codes. It must be a friendly ship." Riker checked the signal data. Ship name, Iron Rain. Class, battlecruiser. Status, active crew. Unknown. The crew watched in silence. Something was building. Not just a battle, but a return. Terrans were waking up across the stars, but not everyone welcomed it. A red alarm flashed on the screen. "Incoming transmission. High threat level." A voice came through. Dark, full of hate. "We warned you, Deathworlder. This galaxy belongs to the Dravari now. Your kind is banned. Your fire will be smothered before it spreads." Riker didn't respond at first. He walked to the center panel, pressed a button, and opened a reply channel. "You had your time. Now it's ours again." The enemy didn't reply. Instead, their fleet jumped into the system. 20 warships, all Dr. Avra. I shouted, "They brought everything." Mara checked the readings. Power levels rising. Weapons armed. They're not going to talk. They're here to end us. Captain Varen clenched his fists. "Can we survive this?" Riker stared at the screen. "Lone, no." He turned to the map and tapped the signal from the Iron Rain. "They won't let us fight. Alone." Within minutes, another signal arrived. Closer, then another. Then more. 12 Terran warships appeared on the map. Some were old, patched with scrap. Others were sleek, black, and fully armed. Each one answered the call. Mara's voice trembled. "They came." Riker stood tall, "and we're just the beginning." The enemy fleet moved first, spreading out, locking weapons. Their ships were larger, but they weren't expecting a response. Not from the dead. The Havoc Rain powered up every system. The old warship hummed like it had waited years for this moment. The Terran ships fell into formation. No orders were needed. They remembered they'd trained for this 1,000 years ago. Their systems spoke the same language. Their weapons linked together. Then, without a word, the Terrans attacked. The black of space lit up like day. Lasers cut across the stars. Missiles tracked and struck. Terran ships fought like wolves, fast, sharp, deadly. The Iron Rain took the lead, slicing through the enemy line. The Havoc Rain followed, its main cannon firing with terrifying power. The Dravari fought hard, but they had grown lazy. For centuries, they ruled in peace. They had forgotten the kind of war Earth could bring. Within minutes, 5 enemy ships were destroyed. 4 more tried to escape, but were hunted down. Tarla shouted, "We're winning!" Riker said nothing. He kept watching the battle calmly. One by one, the enemy ships fell. The last one tried to ram a Terran cruiser. It failed. The Havoc Rain vaporized it in a single shot, then silence. The battle was over. Mara looked at the wreckage on the screen. "It's done." Riker turned slowly. "No, it's just starting." Galaxy would respond. More empires would come. More enemies would rise. But now, Earth had returned. On every Terran ship, a single message was sent out together. It was old. It's from the first days of the Terran fleet. For words, "We are still here." And now, the galaxy believed it. Captain Riker stood at the front of the bridge as the Havoc Rain turned toward deep space. Around them, Terran ships flew. In formation, wounded, repaired, but alive. Turles asked, "Where do we go next?" Riker looked ahead. "We find Earth. Or what's left of it. We bring the fleet home," Varen added. "And after that," Riker's eyes burned with quiet fire, "we take back the stars." The ship roared to life. Its engines burned bright. Behind it, the Terran signal echoed across space. And in every shadowed empire, every watching enemy, every trembling throne, they knew the truth. The Deathworlders were back, and they were not afraid. In the darkest part of the galaxy, far beyond any star or planet, there was a dead zone. Nothing lived there. No ship returned from that place. For hundreds of years, the Galactic Alliance marked it as forbidden. It was silent, empty, dead. But one day, that silence was broken. A signal came from that dead zone. It was weak, broken, but very clear. It was not random noise. It was a message. And it was old, very old. It's a kind of signal that hadn't been heard in centuries. Galactic. Council was shocked. The signal had one clear signature: human technology. But that couldn't be true. Humans were believed to be extinct. Long ago, during the final years of the Old War, humans had vanished. Some said they were destroyed. Others said they escaped. To another galaxy? No one really knew. And no one cared anymore. To most humans, we're just a story from the past. But now, this signal had changed everything. The Council acted fast. They sent a small scout fleet of 5 ships to investigate the origin. Each ship was equipped with the best scanners and weapons. It was supposed to be a simple mission: go in, record data, come back. They never returned at first. The command station believed it was a communication error. Maybe a black hole or strange energy field blocked their messages. But after 10 minutes, the ships vanished from long-range scanners. One by one, like they were erased. The fleet had been gone for exactly 4 minutes before contact was lost. Panic began to rise in the council chambers. The council ordered an emergency investigation. Data from one damaged probe that returned on auto mode was recovered. What they saw made their blood run cold. The recording was damaged, but it showed something. For 3 minutes, nothing happened. Then the ships began to lose power. Lights flickered. Shields went down. Then, from the shadows of space, something appeared. A ship. A warship, massive, silent, covered in dark armor that bent the light around it. It didn't match any known design. No alien race had ever made something like this. But one old historian whispered a name while watching the footage: Terran. The image showed only a few seconds of the warship. Its surface moved like it was alive. It had no visible weapons, no lights, just pure cold silence. Then the screen went black. No explosion, no sound. Nothing, and the 5 ships were gone. The room stayed silent for a long time. One elder on the council leaned back and said, "If this is human, then we are in danger." But the council could not agree. Some said it was a trick, maybe by the Zarin Empire or the Wrecking Dominion. Others believed it was a new pirate weapon. Only a few believed what they saw. Then the signal came again. Stronger this time. Closer. A repeating message in old human code. "Do not enter Terran space." The council froze. The location of the signal had changed. It had moved towards the outer colonies. In secret, many leaders began to prepare escape. Ships. Others demanded action. One high-ranking commander said, "We must destroy whatever this thing is before it reaches our core worlds." But fear was spreading across the galaxy. News leaked. Rumors of a ghost ship, a black warship that erased entire fleets in minutes. A ship that looked human. In the military bases of the Galactic Alliance, old records were opened. Files marked. Red level classified. They spoke of a weapon. A final creation by the humans during the last days of the Old War. A ship built not just with metal but with rage. Rage of a dying species. A ship named in whispers Black Star, but that was only a myth, right? Still something didn't feel right. The energy readings, the design, the silence all matched the ancient Terran war theories. A secret weapon lost in time. But now maybe it had awakened. Why? No one knew. In a dark corner of space, far from the council's eyes, a single scout. Drone floated silently. It had no lights, no beacons. But it watched. It recorded, and in the reflection of a distant star, something moved behind it, a shadow. Large, silent, cold. The warship, its black surface shimmered like water. Its engines made no sound. But it was alive, and it was watching. Camera turned, and for a split second, caught the full image. A name burned into the side of the ship in Old Terran script. The AI tried to translate it, TSS Blackstar. Transmission ended. 4 minutes later, the drone stopped sending signals. Somewhere. In the silent control room of that warship, an old AI activated its core memory. It remembered the wars, the betrayals, the fall of Earth, and it whispered a single line into the darkness. Mission resumed. The storm had returned, and no one was ready. The council chamber was quiet. 12 leaders of the Galactic Alliance sat around a long table made of crystal and metal. Behind them, giant screens showed the last few seconds of the recovered footage. From the drone, the black warship, no lights, no weapons, no sound, and then nothing. They had watched it 5 times already. Still, no one spoke. The room felt colder with every viewing. Finally, High Counselor Varnock stood. His eyes, old and tired, looked around the room. "This is human design," he said softly. Half the room turned their heads. The other half stayed frozen. No one wanted to believe it. No one wanted to say the word Terran. Counselor Jira, leader of the Tetheri Empire, shook her head. "Impossible. Humans are extinct. They died in the last war. We all saw the records." Counselor Varnock replied, "We saw what we were told." But what if we were wrong? A silence followed his words, and someone pressed a button on the table. Screen zoomed in on a still image. A name written on the side of the warship, TSS Blackstar. One of the younger counselors, a reptilian from the Varkan race, hissed nervously. "It's a trick. A fake. No one has Terran technology anymore." Another counselor disagreed. "Then why did 5 ships vanish in 4 minutes? Without a trace? That's no trick. That's power." The room filled with whispers. An AI hologram appeared in the middle of the room. It was the military intelligence unit, calm and robotic. It spoke in a flat voice. Analysis complete. Probability of Terran origin, 87%. Weapon systems, unknown. Defense level, unmatched. Recommendation, do not engage. Do not engage. Jira snapped. "Are we supposed to run? From a ghost?"
Shh.
"No," said Varnock. "We prepare." Across the galaxy, panic was already spreading. Secret reports had leaked. Soldiers whispered of a warship from the old days. A human ship. One that moved like a shadow and killed without warning. On mining colonies, workers refused to go into. Deep space. Trade ships rerouted away from the dead zone. Even pirates were running scared, but not everyone was afraid. Admiral Brovax, leader of the Zarn fleet, laughed when he saw the footage. "A single ship? I have destroyed worlds. I will. Burn this ghost to ashes." He demanded permission to launch a full strike. A fleet of 500 ships. The council hesitated, but fear makes. Leaders foolish, they agreed. The fleet was gathered in orbit above a moon near the dead zone. It was a powerful 4 ships from 10 different species, all armed with the latest tech. Missiles, energy lances, gravity, bombs, shields, drone swarms. They were ready for war. Back in the council chamber, some still doubted. "This is madness," said Varnock. "We don't know what it wants." A soft voice came from one corner of the room. Counselor Lyra, one of the oldest members, looked up from a dusty data tablet. "We do," she said. "It wants justice." The others turned. She held up the tablet. On it, ancient human records classified, hidden for centuries. They told the story of the Terran betrayal. Long ago, the humans fought side by side with the other species in the Great War. They helped save the galaxy. But when peace was near, the Council feared the human strength, their intelligence, their technology. So they turned on them. An attack. A lie. Earth was bombed. The human fleet scattered. Their last message was simple. "We will not forget." Lyra looked around. "This Black Star, it remembers." Back near the dead zone, Admiral Brovax's fleet prepared for jump. He stood on the bridge of his command ship, proud and confident. "Today we end a ghost story." The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The fleet vanished into hyperspace in the council chamber. Screens lit up with live reports. The fleet had arrived. But something was wrong. No contact, no signals, only static. Then, for 3 seconds, a transmission came through from one of the frontline ships. A scream, blinding light, then a voice. It sees us. Silence. For minutes passed. The entire fleet. 500 ships was gone, destroyed, vanished. A single pod escaped. A small scout drone, spinning out of control. Inside, the last surviving pilot was unconscious, his body burned, his eyes wide open. He kept repeating one thing, over and over. In a cracked whisper, it looked at me like I was already dead. Drone was recovered and brought back. Scientists scanned its memory. Only one clear image survived. It showed the warship, floating through the battlefield, untouched, quiet, a black star in a sea of fire. The council was in shock. Admiral Brovak's gone. 500 ships dashed gone, and the warship had not even spoken. Then a message arrived. From the same frequency as the original human signal, a cold, mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Second warning. Do not enter Terran space again.
Ow.
No one in the room moved. No one spoke. And far across the galaxy in a small forgotten station on the edge of space, an ancient Terran beacon activated for the first time in 400 years. Its signal was simple. Black Star. Mission active. The past had returned, and it was not finished yet.